there guys, this is Malorian, and this is going to be another Paintisode. So in these here, you don't really need to watch these. Really you should be grabbing the things you want to paint, pull them out, maybe there's some hobby stuff you want to work on, and this is just something that you can listen to for an hour while you do your hobby stuff. I'll be doing some painting, I'll be yapping about some things, and in the end, hopefully, I get some things off my chest, I hopefully entertain a little bit, and we'll just done a whole bunch of hobby things. So, last Paintisode, I was working on these gun mages, and I got pretty far. On most of these here, I got to this point, as if I can remember where the camera is. After the Paintisode, I added a little bit of gold, started doing the brown on some of these guys, so they really are almost done. I really just have to finish the brown on the rest of them, and then really, double check, but it's really just the faces left. It's really just going and doing the hair and the eyes, so really this should be a nice little easy glide in the finish, but I'm sure while I get confused and distracted I'll be going on other things. Something silly I did. Now, I'm going to be talking about Attack X. Attack X is a tournament I'm going to this weekend, and I'm really excited for it. It's off in British Columbia, Kamloops, and my lists aren't set in stone. However, these guys hopefully will be in those lists, and one thing that won't be is I bought the second Gun Mage UA because, hey, I'm going to be using it for the Kane 1 tier, Son of the Tempest. And I always want to kind of get one to try out the more normal thing where you run, instead of a bunch of gun mages like I do, you run just 2 units with UAs. They both have hunters and pew 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 pew, all that good stuff. And I paint them up. I like put them together, paint them up like that. And it's like, if I was to go and strategize, I really should be painting these guys first. But, sometimes a little fast little model, you got a little bit of time before bed, done, yeah, whatever. It'll be ready when I get back to Sons of the Tempest. Which really is a list I like a lot. I just find that whenever I run it, I run into the worst counters over and over and over again. Oh, what do you know? It's trolls again that my Power 10s don't do much against. And you set up all your large bases so I can't push you out of zones. Oh, great, it happened again. But I think I'm going to come back to it, especially when Hurricane comes out, because that's going to allow some different things there. So yeah, I'll probably be talking a little bit more about Attack X while I work on this. As well, talking about, a little bit more about how I want to start playing, whether it be with Cygnar or now it's looking like maybe Mercenaries I want to push more into. Plus I also got some questions here from some viewers. So I put up a thing here on the Google Plus page here, the War Machine YouTubers, just saying I was going to do a Paintisode in the future, and I got a couple of comments here, so I'll touch on these here while I just start killing off these browns. Just some thoughts. Now that I'm at this point where I'm almost done, there's 2 ways that I could be attacking this. One, I just keep on going with one color, do everything. And, it's like, okay, brown all the way across, and then yellow for the hair all the way across. Definitely one way to go. Another way to go as well, though, is to kind of go like the 2 models at a time. And the different pluses and minuses for doing those is that really if I do like the one color, like the browns, and I just go straight across, it's a lot better for when I just want to kind of like go into a trance and then just kind of like paint while I talk. Kind of perfect for a Paintisode. However, I find that sometimes when you do that, you of course make more mistakes, right? Your concentration isn't really there. You start getting sloppy after the first couple of models, start making mistakes, and mistakes aren't the end of the world when you're painting. It just means you need to come back and touch it up. However, if you make a mistake on model number 3 and then go all the way to model number 6 before you come back, sometimes you forget to fix those mistakes. And it's not till you're doing the wash that you realize, oh no, I never went back and fixed that up. Now it looks stupid. So either way, in this case here, what I'm going to be doing is the straight across one color, do all 6, next color, keep on going type thing. I mean, especially for the brown, I've already done the brown on 2 of them anyway. So finishing the brown on 4 models, not that big of a deal. Brown is one of those other colors here too that it does actually make a pretty massive difference. I mean, the red already kind of pulls out a little bit, so it's not just white and black boring. But when you put this brown on here, it just makes it look a little bit more fleshed out. Something that's a little bit more realistic. Oh, gun mages. So fancy. That's a good thing here. We're going to have some question about Cygnar troops. So we'll be talking about some long gunners, and we'll be talking about storm blades and sword knights. All those fancy Cygnar troops that I love to run. And I think sword knights might be one of the next things I'm going to be painting here. I did say right early on with this whole painting thing that one of the next units, one of the first units I was going to paint was my Blazers. I'm still hiding from that one though. I am just not a fan of painting Blazers whatsoever. So I'm still hiding. You know, feel free to go down in the comments and, you know, call me a coward, call me whatever it takes to make me get this done. But maybe that's a good time to break into that question. So it comes here from X David Williams, and he has kind of a longer one that kind of breaks up into different parts. First thing here is Stormblade Swarm with Epic Striker doable. They get AD from his card, but move at speed 5. I have Sword Knights as well, but Electroleap scares me too much to put them real close to the Stormblades and their Stormclad. So, first of all, let's talk about the Stormblades with Striker 2. Now, right off the bat, maybe it's going to be an easy spoiler of where this is going. I think it's fantastic. Stormblades always are good. They hit extremely hard. They, you know, if you have the UA, they can do the assault. They can do some real awesome damage. Of course, if you're going to go that route with the UA and assaults and stuff, maybe you want to go as well with something that has that to hit boost, whether it's, you know, Haley 1 dropping your defense, or whether you have Deadeye, something like that, which Striker 2 does not have. However, even not having Deadeye doesn't mean it's the end of the world, because you have gunners, and when you're shooting at those heavies or whatever you want to take out, just one of those gunners need to hit, and then all of the rest auto hit. So it's less good if you're going after infantry and you're just want to spread out those AoEs and carpet bomb the whole formation. However, when you're going after a heavy, it's not the end of the world to not to have to hit buff. And of course, you could always have to hit buff as well as Rangers. You know, you might think like, whoa, 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 Striker 2, this is supposed to be a melee army. Why the hell would I take Rangers in here? Well, Rangers could also find their way in there because, one, they're helping out the Stormblades get their shots off. But as well, I mean, a little bit of shooting, even in a melee army, is always a good thing as well. They can pick out those tough solos, like if you're up against Legion and there's a Forsaken, or up against Crix and there's some Bile Thralls, right? There's always those little key units that, I mean, you could try and kill in melee, but that's kind of what they're designed to counter, and so if you can just shoot them in the face with something, why not? Plus I find that Rangers with their defense 14 is always a great jam unit and can help deliver the rest of the melee, right? If you ever get into one of those situations where you're like, oh wow, my guns are going to do nothing. Well, that's fine. Run up there. Your advanced deploy, your speed 7, get up there, block things up, and by the time they chew through your Rangers, well, guess what? Now all those Stormblades are ready to charge it. Sorry, excuse me, and hit with those POW 15s and do some really monstrous damage. So, yeah. Definitely good. Now the Stormblade as well, another part where they love Striker is with the getting the advanced move. Now, like he pointed out here, this isn't really anything super extreme because they are only speed 5, so that's just a little movement of 5 extra inches, so not even really going as far as advanced deploy goes, But who cares? That's still a great benefit. I mean, all of a sudden, you just have your melee troops another 5 inches up the board. You know, a lot of times with a tier benefit, you're hoping to get +2 inches of deployment. Well, this one is basically +5. Actually, if you go for the tier and get the +2 as well, these guys are basically getting +7. So these Stormblades are getting right up there really quick and can definitely be getting to the spots they want to be. Now, at the same time, one of the things I find is that if you're just having Stormblades and they're advanced deploying up, they're not advanced deploying, advanced moving up, that's not always the best thing, because then your opponent says, oh no, I got Stormblades coming at me, and he just shoots them down. You know, they become the high priority and they get targeted. So luckily, Cygnar has a couple things going for him that kind of help them. First of all, he has his spell that's going to get them +2 armor against shooting. So of course that's always a great little piece of defense going for them. Their armor goes up to 17 against shooting, so that means that the regular little shots might not, you know, get through that. You know, on an average dice of 7, a POW 10 won't be killing them, and that's fantastic. You could always be putting Arcane Shield out there too if you want to really stress that unit. Plus, of course, you always have the feat, and what the feat does is lets all your friendly faction models move 3 inches and make another attack. So this is good for 2 reasons. One, if you can hold off that feat until you're right in there and you're ready to attack, then all of a sudden you pop that feat, and those POW 15s, you go kablam, and you're just decimating the enemy army. So that's fantastic. The other part of it is that if you just, you know, you can't normally get up there, they out-threat you, and they're going to be a problem for you, well, then all of a sudden what your Stormblades do is run. You have them run up, just get right up there, and then on Cygnar's turn, he's going to pop his feet, and then these Stormblades that ran up there, now that they're, you know, another 10 inches up the board, now they get to move another 3 and make an attack. So what that means is that stuff that's 13.5 inches away, you can make attacks against, and that can really catch some people off guard. You know, they think they're back, they think they're safe, and all of a sudden you run and you're all over them, and they just don't see that coming. Oh yeah, almost done the brown. Another part of that too is, I mean, you could always say as well that taking Stormblades is nice because then you can help kind of run the Stormclad like you were talking about there. Now the reason why that's important is because Cygnar, he's a bit of a focus hog, and the reason for that is that he wants to take no damage whatsoever. Of course, one of his abilities is to kind of like go Super Saiyan. You roll up to 3 dice, and that's how much strength he gains, and then you roll those same number of dice, and that's how much damage he takes. Now, the important part there is that if you take some early damage, even if it's minor, like 4 points or something like that. Normally to another caster, 4 points early on the game, whatever, not really the end of the world. Well, for Cygnar, that's actually a big game changer, because then, whereas normally it's like, oh yeah, 3 dice, no problem, what's the odds that I'll roll high? You know, I might as well take the odds. It's the odds of me getting 666s is very low. Well, again, when you start taking that little bit of damage, and it doesn't have to be very much, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, you know, I think that idea of going with 3 dice is pretty much out. You know, I don't want to take a chance of rolling just a little bit high, and I just lose the game right here. And then, of course, if it gets even worse, man, maybe I don't want to overcharge at all, or maybe even 1 dice is something I don't want to really risk. So he really wants to be capping all of his focus, and in doing that, he wants to have jacks that are super efficient. One of his best friends, of course, is Old Rowdy, who not only is going to run beside him for free and charge for free, but then as long as they stand by each other, then all of a sudden Cygnar will get +2 defense and melee, and then Rowdy won't be knocked down as, or sorry, no, Cygnar won't be knocked down as well, I believe, yeah. Old Rowdy can't be pushed, and Cygnar can't be knocked down when they're in base to base. So they're all good buddies. They like hanging out and all that fun stuff. But you also kind of want to have these jacks you can send forward and do damage. Especially since Striker 2 has a spell called Positive Charge. He really loves just to put out on a jack and send it out to go kill some stuff. Especially if it's something that can set up other models doing damage as well. Because Positive Charge not only gives that model, the jack, +2 to hit and +2 damage, but it also gives it to all other friendly faction, I believe, models within 2 inches as well. So if those Storm Blades are running a Storm Clad, well, then all of a sudden you don't have to be giving the focus to it to run. It's basically getting effectively 2 focus every turn, because it'll get 1 for being field marshaled, and then it'll get another 1 for starting near the Storm Blades. So it's already getting some pretty good focus efficiency right there. Then you can put the Positive Charge onto it. It can charge using the field marshal, get in there, do some initial damage, and then when the Storm Blades come in, they're going to be effectively Mat 9, POW 17. Like, that's some pretty serious numbers going on there. So all that stuff is really good for Striker. But again, you need some way to deliver this. You need some troops in front, whether they're Rangers or Press Gangers, or whether... I mean, the thing is with the Sword Knights, is that the Sword Knights, they're faster. They're speed 6. The Storm Blades are speed 5, but the Storm Blades are also getting an extra move. So it's an idea about whether you want to hold them back, you know, so that the Sword Knights can get ahead and trying to do that coverage, or what you're going to do. We need some good way to deploy them. And of course, my thing is Press Gangers. I love Press Gangers. They're the best thing that ever happened to my Cygnar lists. Maybe it was also a curse, because now I can't get away from them. But getting on with the next thing here, he was saying that with Sword Knights, he was wanting to get into them, but he's getting a little bit scared of them because he doesn't want to get too close to the Storm Blades and the Storm Clad because of Electro Leaps. Now, of course, the Storm Blades don't care about Electro Leaps because they're immune to lightning, so that's all great. However, the Electro Leaps could be going on to the Sword Knights. Well, something to keep in mind there is a couple of things. One, there's not that many Electro Leaps. The Storm Blades never Electro Leap whatsoever, so there's nothing. When they do their shots, you know, I guess when they charge in an assault, those AoEs could be damaging and stuff, but who really cares? You know, you're hopefully going to be slaughtering the opponent. But specifically, you said Electro Leaps, where it's only really come from the Storm Clad's shot and its melee. So you really know exactly where those are going to be, and a lot of times, unless for some reason you had really jammed in with the Sword Knights, and then you're coming with the Stormclad after, I mean, you're probably, the Electro Leap shouldn't be that bad anyway. When the Sword Knights are base to base, their armor 16, so I mean, you're only killing your guys on 7s. If for some reason you had Arcane Shield on them, you need 10s to kill them. So I mean, the idea that you wouldn't want to take Sword Knights because of the Electro Leaps, I don't think that's an issue at all. I think Sword Knights are great with him. I have 2 units of Sword Knights to take with my Epic Striker because they're great for it. They love getting up there. They love jamming. Again, running up 12 and moving up another 3 at the feet. Now they're going to be jamming the 15.5 inches. So they just get right up there. And again, they just kind of like to bog things up. Because again, another part of the Striker too is that it's not so much that you need all the rest of the army to be killing stuff. It's usually trying to attrition and jam and get to the point where you're just delivering Striker, right? And even if it's a thing where the Sword Knights are making kind of like a line and kind of saying like, okay, this is where the line of battle will be, and then Striker 2 can charge in, make a couple attacks, and then velocity back out of there. You know, he loves to have that sort of situation. So Storm Blades, Swarm, I mean, clearly I like going with the 2 units of just the Min unit. If you want to take a commander and all this other stuff, you can only take the 1 UA. I'm not sure if in the tier you can take double UA. I really can't remember that. Maybe you can. Why don't I just check? You know, I got my computer right here. Instead of just saying maybes, I might as well know for sure what this stuff does. I'm just going to head over quickly to my friend Battle College. Cygnar, Striker 2. You'll find that your information comes faster if you sing it to the computer. So going down here to his tier, you get a free Stormblade UA. So yeah, right there, you could actually run double and have just tons and tons of these guys. Because each one, what, there's 6 models plus 3 plus 5. You could have 22 of these Stormblades. And yeah, I think that would be a very hard-hitting list. If you were up against something like Meat Mountain or anything like this, you're just going to cleave through this, especially on the feet. So yeah, definitely something that I would suggest and like. The idea of taking Sword Knights, I already said I like them too. And then the next part here says, and this is where I'm just talking, we're now how far? 20 minutes into this. I've done my brown, that's it. This is how I fall behind. I've been like shaking this yellow in my head for like 10 minutes. Still thinking about another unit though, Long Gunners. With my 3 Warcasters, Striker 1 and 2 and Sturgis, just want to get the most bang for my buck. So, Long Gunners. I had played a lot with Long Gunners, first of all because they worked with Magnus 2's tier, and then when I got into Cygnar, you know, I already had them, I played them a lot. Now I usually like, because I go for scenario, I like the push shots of the gun mages more, but I still think that the Long Gunners are good units, especially with 2 of these. So they have a really long range. They have 14-inch range guns, and that's really important because the longer the range, the higher the chance that you can just aim, and turns out that when Long Gunners aim, they get a free shot. Not only does their rat go up, but they get another shot as well. So it is just a whole bunch of happy, and all the Long Gunners love it when they aim, and the enemy is always hating it when they aim, and so that's fantastic. And the way that you make that even better is with Snipe, and turning that range 14 into range 18. Well, Striker 1 and Sturgis both have Snipe. So right there, they are both people who really like it. Now, Striker 1's feat is the addition of armor. So adding 5 armor to Long Gunners, that's not really going to do anything. However, you know, they don't need to be affected by the feat to be useful. They can be staying back, they can be either killing off troops or heavies, and then when everything comes down to it and you're adding in that armor, you've already attrition down the army. So whereas sometimes when you take a Striker 1 list and it's more of an elite army because you want to take just a few really high armor things that you pump up with the feat, so sometimes you actually get overwhelmed and swarmed when you pop that feat because you're like, huh, I can't hurt you anyway, run, and we'll just swarm around you. Well, what the Long Gunners will do in that matchup then is they'll stay back, and from the 18 inches out, they're going to start picking away that infantry, start doing some key damage, and taking these things out so that when you do pop the feat, they don't really have a lot to swarm you with. So right there, I can see that as something that Striker would love to have happen for him, get a little bit of shooting help. It's always fun to try and sneak in and get this hair. Whoop. Now, the other one that has the sniper as well as Sturgis. And this is where you might actually want to get the Long Gunner UA. Now, what the Long Gunner UA gives you is a couple of things. The first one is it allows them to have rank attack so that they can see through each other. So all of a sudden it makes it a lot easier to, because they don't like to move, remember, they like to aim. So once they're in a position, they don't want to have to dance around to figure out line of sight. They just want to stay exactly where they are and shoot, shoot, shoot. And sometimes that can really just limit your options of what you can actually shoot on. Well, when you can see through your models, that helps that situation out. So that's always nice, of course, and any models behind them this friendly faction can shoot through them too. However, that's not even the good part of this. The real reason why with Sturgis you want to be having the UA is because Sturgis's feat is that he gets to drag the enemy models towards him. And because of that, there's the age-old trick, age-old, he's like a pretty new caster, but we'll call it age-old trick, where you put down covering fire. You know, he loves taking the storm wall, he loves having things like the chain gun artillery, and you just set up those covering fires, pop feet, pull the enemy into those covering fires, and just watch them, in most cases, auto-die. Because when you have these things that are armor 12 being pulled into things that are POW 12, they just die. And then what the UA lets you do is lets them do a command where they get to just put down one of those covering fires. Depending on the size, I think it goes up to an AoE 5. Again, it's usually more helpful to get multiple ones wide, so you know, having one big one isn't really the best thing for that. But again, it's just another template you're putting down, and then in combination, when you take these other covering fires and add in these other larger ones, it's just more of the board you're covering. So you're like, haha, pull all these guys into the covering fire. All this infantry is dead. Oh, and that infantry behind? Yeah, good luck trying to move them, because it turns out there's covering fire everywhere. So I can definitely see the long gunners being there. Plus, the other reason why long gunners can be there as well is because I really found that Sturgis is really good at, of course, like we just said, killing off infantry. And that means that once the infantry is dead, you're left with the hard ones, the tough ones, the jacks, the high armor. And one of the things that's great for dealing with high armor is multiple POW 20s. And that's something that those long gunners can put out. You know, if they aim and you just have your unit there, bang, bang. That's 2 POW 20s from 18 inches out if they have snipe. If there's the UA, then all of a sudden you get 2 POW 21s, you know, I don't know if that's really worth it for the UA if that's going to be your part of the plan there, but still, just some really nice hard-hitting shots so that once you take out that infantry, you can really then start decimating all the jacks and the more highly armored stuff that's going to be coming at you after. So, that was a very long topic. But, hey, one that's near and dear to my heart was Cygnar, and glad I can help out there. Next one here is sorry to hear about Tin Man XL. Shame, though, loads of information and stories, but in my selfish ways, so glad to have the Paintisodes back on the tube. Now I can paint without going insane. Huzzah! And, yeah, you know, first of all, I want to say, for those who haven't seen the latest video that I put out on it, I have been missing your guys' comments. For the longest time, I thought it's crazy. How come I'm not getting any feedback on my videos whatsoever? And what I recently just discovered is that I just wasn't getting the right notifications. I don't know if I didn't set it up correctly. I used to get all the notifications so that whenever I got a message, it would say, okay, here you go, you got this message here, and I could respond, and I tried to respond to all the comments, and yeah, it was only recently that I realized I wasn't getting those. And one of the series of comments that I was really happy to see is just the comments from the last Paintisode saying like, hey, we're really happy to have this back. You know, it's sad that we're not going to have the jank tank anymore, and it's sad not to have Tin Man XL on here anymore. Hopefully he'll have some time to still do stuff with his channel. He just doesn't have time to do the jank tank anymore. But yeah, you know, good to see that people like the Paintisode, and especially from like that hobby side, right? It's always nice to see that I hope anyway, that I'm helping people out tactics-wise, so it's good to see that I'm helping out hobby-wise as well. So, there you go, that was all the stuff. Whereas like the last half hour I was talking about David Williams' questions there, but they're all good ones and stuff I like to talk about. By the way, a update here, we're halfway through the Paintisode. I have finished the brown on all the units, and now I've done the yellow. So really now all that remains is I have to do the eyes For the guys who have goggles, I have to paint the goggles. That's pretty fast and easy. And then just touch up. Because of course, whenever you're doing the face, the face is deeper in. And so whenever you're painting the face, you splash paint around on the other stuff. So I just got to clean up that black. And that should be it. So pretty fast, pretty easy, hopefully. Although I'm sure if I get into another rant, I'll look at the clock another 20 minutes later and find out, oh my god, I haven't been doing anything. And I haven't even started talking about Attack X yet. One of the things I'm also not sure about is I'm not sure if I talked about these things to you guys before, because I've tried recording 2 other Paintisodes, and either my camera has screwed up or I was feeling sick and I thought I'd stop it because I was just sniffing through the whole thing. So I figured you guys, wouldn't really appreciate listening to me sniffle for an hour. So if I already talked about in the last one about Attack X, sorry, but hey, at least I can give you more of an update about where my thoughts are on that now. But not yet. We have a question from Christopher Murray, which first off, I'll mention that, I always love knowing what you guys are working on and painting while I do my Paintisodes, and he let me know that he was actually working on a Feral Geist. Now this one was a converted one. Not so much converted as it was an alternate model, and where it comes from is Nagash from Warhammer Fantasy, and it's just like this crazy like triple ghost thing all intertangled. Looks really neat. There is the worry, of course, whenever you do that stuff, that it won't be legal. If you take it to one of the larger cons, you might run into somebody that says like, no, you can't use that, and that would really suck. So hopefully you have like a regular Feral Geist on hand if that ever happens. That's always the easiest thing to do, is that, Feral Geists are cheap, spend that $8, throw one in your bag, so if you ever have that one jerk, okay, fine, here's my Feral Geist. Most TOs won't care. I mean, looking at this, you're not going to confuse it and think like, I don't know what this model is. Like, it's clearly a Feral Geist. But either way, I like seeing that. Either you can let me know by posting on here and saying, hey, I was painting this, or you can always message it to me as well. I am at malorian99@hotmail.com, and I love hearing from you guys, and if you ever want to send me pictures of what you're working on, I love seeing that stuff too. But anyway, getting on to his question as I scroll back up. His is a little bit more precise, like a short question, but it could definitely go a lot longer. This is a question I've gotten a few times, and it says, what do Gatormen need to be a tournament threat? Now, that is up to interpretation, because the idea of what a tournament threat is, it's kind of thing like competitive. What does it take them to make competitive? Tournament threat, the way that I'm going to read this is that what's it going to take Gatormen so that regularly you would expect to see them in the top 3 to top 5 depending on the size of tournaments. I mean, like for example, right now you would expect, post-nerf world, you would still expect to see trolls up there, you would still expect to see up there Cricks, and Cygnar and stuff like that. Like, what's going to take to get minions into that area there? Well, they have had some really nice updates. Getting the River Raiders was pretty huge. Unfortunately, the River Raiders kind of helped the other factions more so than it helped Minions. I mean, Minions already had a pretty damn good unit in their just regular Gatorman posse. I mean, that's one of the curses of Minions, is that they already have an A+ unit. Gatorman posse are amazing for the points. They cover so many different bases. They can, if there's a high defense, they can re-roll the hit. They can skew high on their armor, skew high on their defense with the casters and stuff. They really just have a lot going for them. They have, outs for Pathfinder. They have 2 attacks, which are a decent POW. They're pretty awesome. However, even given that, Croak Raiders are another A+ unit, so that is definitely a big push in the direction that Minions needed. They also already got some pretty great casters. I mean, with the oldies and goodies, like, there's nothing wrong with Barnabas. There's nothing wrong with Maylock. They're still both awesome casters. Rask, of course, was a great addition to have in there to really get... Because where Minions sometimes fell flat is in their attack. They couldn't really do the damage to take out the really big heavies. So having Rask that had a nice control feat that says, hey, you can't see me and you can't charge me, and also said, I can give +2 threat, 2 inches of threat, and +3 to my P+S with my Fury spell. That was awesome. That was really great. We also got Jaga Jaga or Yaga Yaga, how you want to play it. Some people say that that's a really good counter to Crix. I don't know if I super agree with that. I kind of feel that Barnabas would be a better Crix drop, because especially now that you can take the Croak Raiders, you just knock them all down and just shoot them all up and kill all the infantry. But their real thing is still going to have to try and deal with those double Colossals. Or even single Colossals. When I am dealing with a Colossal type army, my go-to list to deal with it is Maylock. And my hope in those cases is I'm going to pop feet, go in Corporal, and charge through your Colossal to get to your caster behind. I really don't have good ways to take it down. For heavies, I mean, really our best heavy in Minions is Snapjaw. And you can only take one of them, and he's a character with Wrong Eye, so he can only be in one of your lists. So it's really limited. You know, our Swamp Horror is kind of slow. The Wrestler is alright, but just isn't quite strong enough. Doesn't have reach, right? The only reach we have is on the Swamp Horror. You could use it to put reach onto the Wrestler, but it's just trying to get all those things together to take down these Colossals can be very difficult. And so I believe what we're really missing, I mean, we got also, sorry, how can I miss this? We also got the Sacker Vault, which is an amazing battle engine. So we're having, you know, great, or okay, let's say good casters, great units, great battle engine. It's just in our beasts. And our beasts are meh, they're okay. Like, I'm not saying like we're horrible. I love spitters and they do work for me. However, we need to have that combat beast that is one of those things that has like a Getrix type thing. We need that hard hitter that also has reach. Or it doesn't even have to be like Getrix, where it's like, I'm going to hit you to the moon. It's just something where, hey, I am a heavy that's POW 18 or POW 19, and especially if we have a good way of giving it reach, that's going to be fantastic. You know, we still can take the Swamp Horror, especially if it's not a character, right? If we get some sort of heavy that's POW 18 or 19, oh no, what have I done? I missed. I almost went and put blue on my gun here. A POW 18 or 19 beast that we can then pair with the Swamp Horror to give it reach, so that we can get multiple of these beasts onto a jack to take it down. All right. All of a sudden, that's the tools we need to deal with a big part of what the meta is and what it's going to become. I mean, with Gorman going away and stuff like that, and the new Colossals coming out, I mean, Colossals are only going to be becoming more popular. So Minions need to have an answer for that. And you know what? That could be in this next book here. We don't really know very much more about what's coming in the next Hordes book. We've seen pictures of, what did they call it? Some sort of like gator face that I think somebody said it was like going to be like Maylock 2. This is back when they had like the picture of the art for Chromac 2, and there was some gator that I believe was supposed to be Maylock 2. But in that release, if we get that heavy beast, I would expect to see Minions really being up there as a competitive force. So it really is not far away. We just need that one small piece. And then, of course, I'm going to be left in that odd situation of like, is now the time to start going all in Minions? Because I kind of like my minions too. However, especially now that I'm finishing up and painting all this Cygnar and mercenaries, it would kind of suck to kind of like, okay, that's all good, package it all away, let's go minions now. You know, it probably makes more sense if I'm going to switch to something to go to mercenaries, because there's still a lot of overlap here. And if I spend lots of time painting mercenaries, it's just better for my Cygnar in the end anyway. So there you go. There's a question from Christopher Murphy. Yeah, that one didn't take as long. 10 minutes for that one, just to talk about, like, I should have just said, we need a heavy that has POW 18 or 19. That's it. You know, but it's good to not just say that. It's good to give respect to all the good things we do have. So now that we're in the last 20 minutes, I've painted the eyes. Now, for the painted the eyes, that meant I took a toothpick and went like sploosh, sploosh, there's white, dot, dot, there's some blue for the eyes. Now I need to take my skin and kind of really touch it up, because there really is just like white smeared all over and blue was like pfft. So I gotta go back and clean it up. I really don't like doing eyes. I'm a real nitpicker when it comes to eyes on models. I mean, when people post up pictures of what they painted and it doesn't have eyes, I'm always the first one to go like, ah, you know, like, where's the eyes? You could really get some eyes on there. And then whenever I mean, I do paint eyes on mine, but I do realize it is a huge pain. But it makes a huge difference. It really is something you really should try and do. Otherwise, you look like some sort of like crazy clay face. I don't know how I got through fantasy. I don't know how many hundreds of eyes I painted in fantasy with all my orcs and goblins. I mean, when I had at least 200 goblins painted and at least 150, 200 orcs painted at least. So 400 models, which mean I painted at least 800 eyes just for orcs and goblins. You know, plus I had all my other factions. But man, it's an art form that I still am a long way from trying to master. Oh god, we just turned him into Derpy. I was the one eye. It's tough because like the collar is there on these guys right by the eye, so it's hard to get to where the eye is. And so it was like big and white. So I tried like going across the top of the hat to kind of like cover the top of it, and I went way too far down. So I was like, oh. He's the Derpy gun mage. You know, if somebody's gonna miss, it's gonna be that one. You know, he's part of a program. You know, a lot of these Cygnarian Derpy gun mages, you know, they'd just be left at home and they wouldn't be finding jobs. But, you know, here in my army, you know, we find a place for them. You know, we're all about inclusion. We feel that it's the betterment of, you know, the enjoyment of their lives, and just, you know, better understanding for everyone. Oh god, and there's another eye screwed up. Ugh. Is there any way I can save this? Yes! Okay, so what I did there... See, one of the best things you have to learn is that when you're really bad at something, you have to learn how to cover it up. And so what happened here is that I had painted the... Okay, we already know about the one eye is screwed up. In this other eye, I was coming from the side of the face and went a little bit too far in. So it actually went past all the white to the pupil in the middle. And it's like, well, either I have to redo the white and the blue to cover that back, or if you can get something, especially if the old color is dry, which it should be, I just took the toothpick again, went from the pupil and dragged away and pulled away that pink paint so you could see the white again. Everything's happy. You gotta be careful because, of course, if you pull too hard, you'll scrape right down to the metal, and I mean, that doesn't help anyone. But there you go. That's the way that you fix a very bad mistake. Man, I swear these eyes are worse than usual. Again, I already said I'm not the master when it comes to eyes, but these are like extra bad. Oh man, Now they are in weird poses, so I do have a little bit of a defense in that. Oh God. Like, oh man. Toothpick save me. Yeah. Good enough. Oh man, we'll just put some extra wash on that face and try and really blur it up so that they can't really see what's going on. Oh man. Alright, so now we're at 15 minutes left, and I'm going to force myself to switch topics and talk about Attack X. So today is Tuesday, as I'm doing this, and Attack X is going to be, it starts on the Friday, but we're not really interested on the Friday things. First of all, because it would mean that I have to take off the Thursday as well, and losing one day of work already hurts. But also, the Friday is the invitational for the Kelowna, whatever, invitational or Kamloops, BC, whatever the invitational is. I'm not invited because I'm not from BC, British Columbia. So, I'm not really caring about that part on the Friday. Plus, the one that they're doing for like funsies for everybody else is this weird like poker hand tournament where you start with a hand and then while you play your games you earn other cards and you're really just trying to get the best hand in the end. Not really anything I have much interest in, so what we're going to do is leave the Friday, get up there, you know, a reasonable time there on the Friday, and then have time for pickup games. So that'll be awesome. I got quite a few friends that are up there, so it'll be good to see them, get some pickup games before things get, you know, serious on the next day. The next day is going to be the Masters, and there's only 3 games for the first day of the Masters, so you better have your you know, ducks in a row and ready to go, because you can't really lose any of those. Then from that, the top 8 will move on to the second day and finish up there. So I'm really hoping to be, of course, in that top 8. Although if I'm not, it's not really the end of the world, because the way it works is that after that, on the Saturday, there'll be a doubles tournament. So me and my brother have some things planned up for that. And then on the next day, anyone who had not made it into the second day of Masters goes to do a team event, a 3-person team event. So, you know, really, if I don't make it into Masters, which is probably going to be a real push anyway, well, I don't know. I always had like this self-faith that like, oh yeah, come on Brian, you can do this, you're good. And then I think back to all the big mistakes I've been making recently. It's like, no, I'll be lucky if I don't, you know, lose 2 games the first day. But either way, I'm kind of happy doing either the Masters the second day or doing the team event. You know, team events are nice because it almost makes it a little bit more relaxed. First of all, it's more fun because you're in this team environment and you know that you can, you know, like you're there with your buddies, and instead of going after and trying to talk about your one game, all 3 of you are talking together because you're all invested in each other's games. Excuse me. So it's a really different experience. And then past that, sometimes, like in the Masters, it's like, well, if I get that Bradigus guy, I'm screwed. And so I'm all stressed out the whole time that I hope I don't see Bradigus, I hope I don't see Bradigus. But in a team event, it's like, well, if I do see Bradigus, Jimmy, he actually doesn't mind facing Bradigus, so we'll just give it to him. So you can kind of make those things work out if you can control it right in the pairings. But yeah, I mean, that part will be okay. So either way, the way that it's looking then is I'm still on the fence whether for Masters I should be playing my Mercenaries or my Cygnar. I really feel, I mean, if we're going to talk about the pluses or minuses, first of all, I would definitely say my Cygnar would do better. You know, I know my Cygnar a lot better. Oh no. Oh no. Toothpick, save me. Toothpick, save me. Yeah. I do know my Cygnar better. I feel it's a lot better for the current meta that I expect anyway. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of these guys I'm going to see here, I I'm not used to them. They're not my meta. I just have to come back and fix him. As I dotted, like they had these goggles on, so I dotted the red for the lenses first, and then I was trying to do the silver around, but the silver is spilling inside. It'll just be easier for me to come back after and dot the eyes again. So, anyway, so what I'm looking at there for that is, of course, I'm really liking the idea of taking my Cane 2 Swarm list. You know, that thing has typically done really well for me, and now will be fully painted, and that is definitely a thing for me. I really would like to go fully painted, which is kind of why I'm painting these guys right now. The negatives of going with my Cygnar is that the second list that I'm taking, I have never practiced before. The second list I have is a double Stormwall, which I have no problem with. However, I've never done a Haley 1 double Stormwall, which is what it is. I have not played Haley 1 for a very long time. And the reason why I'm taking it is because I feel the double Stormwall will be a good boogeyman for the Cane 2. Plus, I feel the Stormwalls with Haley 1 will be doing okay against Bradigus. So there's that. Fully painted. I know it the best. However, I don't really know that second list. Okay, here's the other option. Option 2 is going with my mercenaries. Now, if I go with my mercenaries, I would be going with my Magnus 1 Super Swarm Buccaneer list, which would just be loads of fun to play and just like surprising people, and that would be great. You know, like if it was a 1 list Masters, that could be it right there. It's like, ooh, that would actually be lots of fun. However, it's a 2 list, and just like how my Gem and Cygnar is paired with double Colossal, so is this one. And this one here is going to be a Gorton with an Earthbreaker. It has Gaston with a Galleon. You guys have seen it in my battle report before, and it's like that's the one time I've played it. I've played it once. Whereas I'm used to playing double Stormwall, I am not that well versed with playing the Galleon Earthbreaker. It sounds like it's a simple thing, however it is a very different mechanic, trying to get all the right AoEs and all these things, that just the time it takes for the AoEs to go, I'm not really comfortable with that. Plus, whereas the Magnus 1 list is 100% painted, like right now it is ready to go, that Gordon list is not. The Galleon is only 80% done. The Earthbreaker's not painted at all. A lot of my solos aren't painted, so I'm not really a big fan of that. Plus, another minor thing is that Galleon is a pain in the ass to transport. Because it's such an odd thing with like, oh, I got this fork sticking over here and this weird claw coming over here, and those things love to break off all the time. So I really am stuck on trying to figure out which way to go. I mean, as you see me painting here, I mean, I might as well. If I'm going for fully painted, it's going to happen in Cygnar and not in Mercenaries. There's no way I can paint that in time. But I still am just back and forth, trying to figure out which way I should probably go with this. And what I'd love to hear is actually your guys' feedback. One of the feedbacks I read, like I said, where I weren't getting comments for a long time, is one back from Advanced Maneuvers saying, hey, I know you've been trying to go for, you know, being the master of Cygnar in your area. Why don't you go for being master of mercenaries? You know, it seems like it might be a good break. You seem to like them. Why don't you do that? And that is something that has a lot of merit. I definitely really do like my mercenaries. I have a lot of fun with them. Of course, whenever I'm playing them, you just kind of feel a little bit more like the pressure's off. You know, it's almost like people say like, oh, it's only mercenaries. It's almost like playing Minions, where if you ever go playing in a Minions game, it's almost like they've already counted you out. And so it's like, hey, if you ever pull off that win, it's just awesome. But if you don't win, it's not like anyone's going to mock you for it or anything. I think that's actually why my brother, he's actually going with Trollbloods, which is crazy because he's definitely a Crix guy, but he's taking Trollbloods just because he wants to have some fun. So good on him. And, you know, maybe I should follow his suggestion, and I should be going for that. At the same time, this will be my first time going over to Kamloops, And like I said, I'll be seeing some friends there, and I kind of would like to have a good showing. If I'm there to represent Alberta, and to, you know, if I want to go and kick my friend's teeth in, I would do better with Cygnar. So I mean, that's where I am, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, you know, hour by hour, day by day, changing my mind. And so again, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. You know, if you know, I value your guys' opinions, and if you think that, you know what, Malorian, you've been doing enough Cygnar, you should go with Mercs and give them a try. Or if you think like, you know what, Cygnar, you're not done with it yet, we want to see you kick butt with Cygnar. You know, just let me know those things there. Man, I just wish I just had a little bit more practice with those two lists. And I mean, out of the two, clearly, like I was saying, the Haley 1 list, it'd be a lot easier to pull off and just fake, right? Haley 1, her thing's pretty easy. Cast a spell, you can't run, and then the storm walls go boom, 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 and put up cover fires. It's pretty straightforward and easy. Whereas, again, I am not well that versed in the Galleon Earthbreaker. I played that one game, and it went well. You know, I won the game mainly because my brother went for an assassination that failed, but, you know, it felt good. Turned out that I totally had screwed up something with McDougal. That was actually the first game I ever used McDougal, just because he never really fit in with my stuff before. But I totally forgot that Artillerist also lets me re-roll the direction and the distance for those AoEs. Certainly something you don't want to forget when you're dealing with the Galleon or Earthbreaker. So, yeah, could definitely do better there. Oh no, did I get into the hair? Not too badly. I mean, when you're at the point that you have to hold the model upside down to notice the mistake, you can probably let that one slide. That one's probably okay. However, we are really close. My time is almost up. It's silly. Like, there's nothing really holding me to an hour. It's just this self-imposed, you know, Nazism I'm doing to myself here. And I'm German, so I'm allowed to say that. But, yeah, we really are close here. It really is going to be nice to have these guys done. Because, I mean, for the longest time, I've been running these guys as double gun mages in this list. Whenever I did Sons of Tempest, I mean, I still have 3-4 other units to paint for my Sons of the Tempest. But just having these two done. Or also, the other place I use them as well was in my Highborn list. No. Well, okay, Highborn can only take 1 unit of these guys. However, the Ashland tier can take 2. So, okay. It's not technically Highborn. It's Ashland's tier. But either way, in Mercenaries, I've been taking these guys as well. So we're pretty much done. I know what did I screw up here. Oh, right. I didn't put the yellow on the goatee. Which means if I'm doing my yellow, I might as well fix up that other mess up too. Although, you know, while I'm trying to fix up that one tiny mistake, I'm just going to make a bigger mistake. One of those being that I almost started doing this with way too much water still in the brush. Alright, Mr. Goatee, let's quickly do yours. There's your little chin goatee. And you're done. And then you, in the back, I put a little black into your hair, so we'll fix that, and bam, that is it. Our gun mages still need a wash, so okay, they're not 100% done, but that's going to take me 2 seconds after I'm done this. But yeah, there's the gun mages. Of course, it's focusing on my face, plus you probably don't want to really see these anyway. They're not the best of quality, but yeah, nice to have this all done. So far for this month, you know, we're not too far into the month, only September 8th, but I've already painted 2 Buccaneers, the Gun Mages, and I have their UA. So that's 3 plus 3 plus 6 plus 2. So yeah, we're already at 14 points done already. So that's pretty awesome. The target is 10 points a month. Maybe what I should do is actually hold back, you know, although I know I won't, I'm just going to keep on chugging with it. I can't. It always sucks to like try and like okay, it's nice to push ahead and get all this stuff painted, but when you're at the end of the tail and it's like, okay, I'd love to keep on painting and, you know, encouraging others with painting, but I have nothing else to paint. I don't want to get into that situation. Although, to be fair, I do have a lot of models I still have to paint. So there you go. The things I'd love to know is what you were painting while you were watching this. I would love to get your feedback on if you think I should go Cygnar or Mercenaries. No matter what, I didn't say that, but I will be taking Mercs for the doubles. So no matter what, the Buccaneers are going, and they're going to do their thing. But, and you know, I could take something different for the team event as well. You know, maybe I could take the Mercs for the team event, assuming I don't make the second day of Masters, and then start with Cygnar and Masters. You know, there's a couple of different options I could do. I'm going to have lots of room in the car to bring both armies. It's not going to be a real question. But either way, love to know you guys' thoughts, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.